So tell me this, would money really change you? Corners of the internet are talking about this now because there was a shocking twist at the end of season 3 of The White Lotus. If you haven't seen the finale, save this video because I will be spoiling what happens. And I am talking about money and Natasha Rothwell's character Belinda, one of our favorites. Belinda has been loved since season 1 of The White Lotus. She's funny, she's smart, she's thoughtful, and we watched her take in and take care of Jennifer Coolidge's character Tanya in the first season. Unfortunately, Tanya is one of those flighty, tortured, very friendly white rich women who frequent the White Lotus, and she flakes on Belinda. When Tanya is having this emotional fallout, dragging her mother's ashes around the resort, it's Belinda who soothes her and takes care of her. And this is what makes Tanya even think in the first place, wow, it would be great to help you do your dream or fulfill your dream of a spa that helps women. But unfortunately, she flakes and has her own situation in season 1, which I'm not going to spoil for you in case you haven't seen that one. And we're left haunted with this thing of, when is Belinda going to get her dream? If only she had the money, then the kind of agency and power she would have, she would totally go after her dream, right? And this fits in with what a lot of us might think about the choices we make in our life, right? That we would be doing the same thing, we would want the same thing if we had more money. But how true is that? So Belinda has been in caregiving mode since forever. Natasha Rothwell says it's a point that her character clearly had a child very young and was a caretaker in that way. She, of course, works at the White Lotus, caring for very high maintenance people. And she has come to Thailand to not rest, not relax per se, but to study how to serve people better. And we are enjoying this little break she seems to be having in a sense because Pornchai, the director of the White Lotus Spa in Thailand, is very loving and caring towards her. And Belinda is in need of this because between mothering her son Zion and mothering these lost patrons, she has just been giving a lot of herself. Now, in the past, a character like this would be portrayed in a really mammified way, right? That would excuse and justify why she is where she is or what she's feeling. But Mike White and this team and Natasha, they put a lot of detail and texture into this character. And we see just from the outfits and the choices and the way she dreams and speaks of herself that she is a complex character. She is not a serving machine. But that temporary calm in Thailand, even while working, is shattered because Greg/Gary appears. Up until this point, we should note that the ceiling of Belinda's opportunity is working for herself. Not retiring permanently, not spending her own time in wellness centers around the world, but working as somebody who works for herself and has her own business. As the monk mentions, who we are and what we want is often a byproduct of the choices that are presented to us, the choices we are given due to the factors of where we end up in life. As someone who grew up in one of the most wealthiest cities in America, which at one point had the most millionaires per capita, I can tell you that these people who frequent the White Lotus, they are not intrinsically more intelligent or more interesting than other people. They just have time and resources other people don't have. I remember once that Prince Charles was described as a youth, how he had impeccable, incredible taste. And I remember thinking that if I had the wealth of the Caribbean invested in working for me, as did he, I too would have impeccable taste in cars and food. Our tastes and goals are not necessarily the reflection of who we are internally or what we were meant to be. They are the reflection of what is available to us. And I don't say that to cosplay as something I'm not. I say this as somebody who is very aware that my taste in classical music or the way I put together an outfit or the way I fold a cloth napkin is not due to some inherent goodness or ladylikeness that just came out of me. It's a product of conditioning and social training that is not neutral. It is very political. To lord that over other people like it says something about me or us is to ignore the fact that this is a class political reality. It is not something that says anything about me as an individual. But going back to Belinda, what we see is that she was deeply affected when she finds out that Tanya disappeared into the sea. She was very suspicious that Gary/Greg, the ex-husband of Tanya, who never came around for questioning, had something to do with it, and he made off with her $500 million fortune. And Belinda has this belief that no amount of money would make her be quiet. She needs to do something. She needs to talk to the police. She's not going to accept a bribe. When Gary/Greg approaches her, she's really upset by this. And we are all insulted when Gary/Greg only offers her and her son $100,000, even though we also are like, yeah, we're not going to take the money. She's going to tell the police. And we have this moment where during this negotiation, Zion is pressing hard, and Belinda looks like she's sputtering on her drink. She can't do this. She leaves. She doesn't know what she's going to do. And Zion follows after her, really confused and like, gosh, we have a plan. Like, we're trying to get this money so you could start your spa. And we think what we're seeing is a Belinda who's like, no, I can't do this anymore. What we're seeing is somebody playing hardball. She saw a weakness in Gary/Greg and decided to exploit it. She was going to take this man for his money. She was going to get paid for everything he did to Tanya and the way Tanya flaked on her. If she's going to be looking over her shoulder for the rest of her life, she's going to do it well funded, and she's going to do it in a comfortable setting. In the hours that follow, none of us are sure the money's even going to come. And then miraculously it does. And Gary calls her and talks to her about how, hey, this is what Tanya would have wanted. And I want to keep in touch. Let me know how your spa goes. But this is where that conversation turns. Belinda is like, wait a minute. I don't necessarily need to be slaving away and caretaking anymore. I don't need to be helping other people's dreams come true. What if I just want to take a break and relax and be wealthy for a minute? So she goes to Pornchai, who, they have this romance. They have this hope that maybe they would start a business together. And she's like, circumstances have changed. And the internet said, wow, she did what Tanya did. But I disagree. And I would like to add, unlike some of the other white guests who are operating from what Natasha called the type of white privilege where you see a dangerous situation, you think you'll be safe because you're you, Belinda's out of there. She's done. The immediate thing we could think about her just leaving Pornchai and leaving Thailand is that she's flaking. But another part of it is that unlike Tanya, unlike these other guests, Belinda has been working her entire life. She's been caretaking for people since she knew herself. She has suffered, she has struggled, and she has been left behind. Did we want Belinda to immediately jump back into work? Did we think she was someone who would only be fulfilled by doing labor for other people for the rest of her life? What is so evil about this Black woman taking it easy for a bit? Natasha Rothwell also says that in her mind, the character does come back to Thailand at some point and reconnects with Pornchai, not in a situation where there's this power dynamic where he needs her, but where she tries to have a more equal relationship, unlike the one Tanya had with her. We also have to say this woman is trying to get away from a potential psychotic person. Gary/Greg is, for all intents and purposes, in Mike White's own words, diabolical. And perhaps even looking at the ways what we want changes when we don't have to survive, right? When we don't have to plot for certain things. It just shows that identity and our narrative are not as rock solid as we think they are. Just like Belinda told Tanya way back in season 1, when Tanya was falling apart and didn't know what she was going to do, every moment is a moment where I can be reborn. Go rest, Belinda.